All right. Welcome everybody to the Prosperity Mastermind. Gosh, we're getting to the tail end of March. Crazy. Um, I don't really have any announcements except that there's some happy people receiving their collagen elixir.
Mhm.
Isogenics is so awesome. They put millions of dollars into air shipping, because of the backup of delivery boats in the West Coast Harbor. So we're getting them out. Thank God.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you know what? Tonight's going to be a fireside chat, which is very appropriate here because we got about 6 inches of snow last night. Happy spring. So, you know, the subject is obstacles. And how many times do we come up against an obstacle in our lives? No, in not necessarily just in business, but in life, in relationships, in, lots of different things. Oh, I forgot something. We're going to do the template tonight. Thanks, Ariana.
Mhm.
I had a little bit of a brain fart.
No, Kathy, you're so excited about the breakthrough conversation. And really, this is all part of it because we're going to cycle back around. We're going to share with you ways that, the breakdowns or the obstacles that life throws at us. There are ways that you have control, not even control, you have power. And that good power, like the authentic power, like the power that is already inside you. So why don't we do a round robin with this piece here? Is it big enough for everybody? Can you all see it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So I think there's enough lines for all of us. I'll be last. Kathy. So with Kathy, I'm going to just do according to what I see here. Kathy will be number 1. Lynn will be 2. Madeline will be 3. Daria will be 4. Marcia will be 5. And Alex will be 6, and Amy will be 7. And I may not be the one. Amy, you may be the one saying to Living Lives We Love Prosperity Mastermind. So just to let you guys all know. So, Kathy, why don't you take it away?
Okay. We are so happy and grateful now that our Freedom Day teams are generating legacy centers with yearly multiple six-figure incomes with Isogenics.
This prosperity allows our family, friends, and communities to have abundant access to time, money, freedom, and creative resources.
This brings us all great joy, peace, and creative fulfillment.
We live each and every day present and practicing our compelling visions of our futures, supporting each other because we want to.
Marcia, we can't hear you. I think you're muted. Okay, Alex, why don't you take it away? Oh, that's okay. Marcia's back.
Are our family motto.
We have created compassionate identities that powerfully fulfill on the dreams that mean the most to us.
So our prosperity is an expression of creative energy that brings heaven to earth for everyone.
2, living lives we love. Prosperity Mastermind Team. Woo! Welcome, Judy.
Thank you. Sorry I'm late.
You look
You look
great.
so pretty.
Yeah.
Well, I just had a first outing with my sisters. We went to dinner and it was so exciting to go out.
Nice. All right. Okay, so back to our fireside chat about obstacles and breakthroughs in those obstacles. So, Ariana, do you want me to show that document now or later?
Let's have it in the background as we're all talking, because I think that what's perfect about it is out of the four, one of them is where success really lives, right? And all the other ones are things that I know I experience all the time. So it'd be good to have it there, front and forward, right in our faces. And then I can just, relate to any of them, which is why my obstacles come up, even though my intention to fulfill on something is clear to me.
Yeah. So many of you have probably already seen this. I've had it around for many years. It's something that I got from my mentor, Brian Clemmer. And he was just brilliant at explaining the different ways that people think. And so let me go over these, and I'm going to start with thinker number 4. Thinker number 4 has no goals, so he has no problems, or she. Basically, he or she lives unconscious. This person sits in front of the TV like a lump, falls asleep there only to be wakened by the Star-Spangled Banner. They don't do that anymore. So you can see how old this was. And thinker number 3, they're energetic and they have many goals, but they lack the focus to finish, and that they're easily distracted. And when they encounter an obstacle, they will move to a different goal. And this person has probably had many jobs. Okay, you can see that the stars represent the obstacles. No, I'm sorry. The obstacle is the square. Okay, it's been a long time since I saw this. Okay, thinker number 2. They're disciplined, they have a goal, but they still get stopped by their obstacles. They only focus on the problem, and they even look for problems. And they point out everything that's wrong, even in relationships. So do you think they meet their goals? No, probably not. And then there's thinker number 1. They have a goal and they're focused on it. They are solution oriented. They always look for solution, not focused on the obstacle. They love to eat problems for breakfast. I remember Brian saying that. When they have an obstacle, they just pass through it in order to capture that goal, because that's their commitment, that's their priority, that goal. So it really kind of helps to, for us to take a look at ourselves and go, okay, I wonder what kind of thinker I am, right? So,
And Kathy, why don't some of us share some of the things that we experience as obstacles? And it doesn't just have to be through your isogenics business, although it's probably pertinent to share if you have something that you've noticed about yourself. And I'm happy to model that idea. So I recognized today when we were talking about this earlier this morning that I'm moving through, I'm working with my beautiful, my own personal mastermind template, the Freedom Day. And I stopped doing it for about 3 weeks. I took it up again today anyway. And what I noticed was I was starting to have some breakthroughs. I was having people say yes, right? Which is what the point is, and my intention was to bring this template into my life on a daily conscious level, right? To let the universe start fulfilling on the desires and the plans that I have. But what I noticed is that I would reach a certain level with the person. So yes, they said yes to the product, and they were even interested in the business. And what I noticed this last couple of times, 2 of the people that said yes, oh, I'm so excited, I want to do this. They now have problems, one reason or another, and they cannot do the product. So from their point of view, the business really isn't an option for them right now. And so I have to look at myself and go, wow. So I had a breakthrough with people saying yes to wanting to try things, right? That was a breakthrough for me. And then they said, I want to do the business too, because this is so exciting. And so there's a stop. The obstacle came up, and it came up wonderfully in someone else, right? But I get to use the mirror of life around me and people being who they are around me. And I get to look at, wow, I attracted people that are going to have a problem not being able to fulfill on their own intention. So clearly, what was beautiful about it was that I didn't make myself wrong or make them wrong or go, oh, it's me, or this doesn't work. What I got was, wow, okay, there's still some work to be done on what I'm thinking, what I'm considering, how I'm actually setting myself up for success. Because I'm saying in my template here, I'm so happy and grateful now that I've attracted level 4 business partners who love network marketing. They love the products, they're excited. And yet, my obstacle came up because they weren't able to fulfill on that. So I now get to go, okay, why is this obstacle coming up? Who am I being? What's unconscious possibly? And Kathy, I want you to riff on this a little because you've been doing a lot of work in that area, right? Some really powerful areas you're focusing on and having breakthroughs in. So I am going to just ask myself, okay, my intention is X and I'm getting Y. And Alex, and Judy, you're probably really familiar with that conversation. He's taking a stand for X, but getting Y results. So anyway, I just wanted to bring that up. Anyone else have any obstacles that they'd like to just kind of bring into the room and say, hey, what's up with that?
Well, I can share with you just in looking at this document that it's not, I am a thinker number 1 in some areas. Those are my priority areas, but there are areas that are not as priority that I could be a thinker number 4 or 3, so it's interesting how as I take a look at this, I can take a look at my goals and go, okay, which thinker am I with this goal?
Kathy, what you have to say there is really true, because I was looking at that too, going, I find myself bouncing around in these thinkers, right? Like there's a lot of times I am laser on 1, right? And then I go to 3 a lot, get easily distracted. I may not change the goal, but I may kind of put the goal aside for a minute, do something else. Then I'll get back and then I'll do the goal and I'll get back to 1. Like I find myself just kind of bouncing around in there. And I get results, but not as fast as I'd like to because I keep bouncing.
Right. Who else?
Yeah, I can agree with Madeline on that. I'm kind of bouncing around from different ones too. I was thinking of an obstacle that has stopped me more in the past, but it did just happen recently. And Ariana, you might remember this. I think we were on a call or something together, and I'd reached out to a bunch of people, and this gal reached out for collagen to ask if she was interested. And she shot back a remark and said, nope, not interested. And I thought, okay, take it. And then probably, 4 minutes later, I get this long text message about how I could be so rude as to reach out to her and offer her something when we haven't talked for a year, blah, blah, blah. And it went on and on and on. And oh my gosh, we were like going back and forth. And it's like, I couldn't believe what she was saying. And we ended up, I said, we need to talk. So we worked it out, we actually talked it out. So it was great. Then we got to visit and, reconnect. But I was thinking about that the other day, and I was like, I haven't reached out like that again with collagen, because maybe that stopped me because I thought, oh my gosh, that's a reaction that I'm getting. Am I going to get that again? But I am going to do, because, my goal is to break through that. Of course, not have that happen again if possible. But if it does, I know what to do, right? So I'm going to do another, the WhatsApp, send out a blast to people, because I think that's the initial one I sent her. But, I find that over the years, what people say has sometimes taken me back a notch. But again, it's not as bad as it used to. So I'm breaking through those obstacles and challenges.
Yeah, give yourself a pat on the back for resolving it with her in the first place.
Yeah.
That could have completely stopped somebody else,
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah.
Could I
And we never know where people are at. So
yeah.
That to me almost sounds like she was asking for help. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when somebody does that, they're really upset. They need to have a conversation.
Yeah.
So maybe some good will come out of it.
Yeah.
Can I
Well,
share?
and I think people are coming off of this pandemic or not coming off of it. And there's been a lot of, I'm reading a book now called Crucial Conversations that Alex had recommended to me. And when the stakes are high and the emotions are strong and there's varying opinions and we don't know what's going on with what they've been going through during this period of time. And I was, thinking of how I can use some of the tools that we've been talking about, but I made a list of about 100 people that I want to touch to wish happy Easter. And in doing that, it was people that I haven't talked to for a long time and that really God brought to my heart. And so I'm going to use a happy Easter message to just connect with 100 people.
That's awesome.
Nice.
We could all do that.
Yeah.
I agree. I'll take that on too. That's a great idea, Judy.
Yeah.
Joyful Judy.
Yeah, I guess Alex wants to share.
Yeah, go ahead, Alex.
Well, I also like to share the screen.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, so I mean, these are the people up here, and so what you actually experienced there was they're not responding to you.
Right.
The wisdom course tip. It's a really good one. But I'd like to actually share the screen, so I'm not sure if I can do that yet. But
You can now.
in communication, for sure, one of the things I've definitely gotten clear on is there is a listening that has nothing to do with what people are saying.
Yeah.
And when you can actually start to get tuned into what the listening is, and not like my listening or your listening, but the listening, then you start to hear what people are speaking from that has nothing to do with what you just said. And that's what I'd say probably happened with that woman. So I want to share a picture real quick. It's just a simple, I literally just created, so it's not like it's that fancy, but here's a moment in time. On the left is our lives. They're up and down, and they move left and right, and as we move along, we hopefully are progressing, but we all have those down days. And what sometimes people think is like, well, there's a moment in time when I make a decision, I choose, and I get to be one of those thinkers. So the thinker that I think we were all trying to agree on is like that one who's like, sees the goal as the objective and not the obstacle.
Right.
Which of those two right side, blue side images actually represents that thinker?
The one on the bottom?
Why do you say that?
Because they're gradually going up towards their goal.
Okay. Anyone else?
I would say the lower one too, because there's a steadiness where the fluctuation in terms of reacting to a circumstance or to an event is not dependent on the event. They have owned their kind of like their response, and so it's a steady response versus one that's based on reaction.
So if I can recreate that, so looking at that bottom chart, you're kind of seeing that when people get triggered by a statement or a comment, their self-awareness and their understanding of what's happening actually allows them to gradually progress forward. Is that what I heard? Something like that? Okay, well, consider, I'm going to stop sharing, although I'll leave one more sentence. So consider that actually life is always lifing and it never really changes. People respond how they respond, regardless of how centered you are, or how at peace you are, or how well you presented something. And when we start to believe that there's a way it should be, that's when we can slip into really easy self-doubt, because we're starting to like criticize ourselves, or they criticized us, or they're wrong for thinking that way because it shouldn't be this way. Life keeps on lifing no matter what we do, because that's a tip from wisdom. It's called, this is life when it's working. You know how you know that life stopped working? You're dead.
We're dead.
That's my tip for the day.
Well, so
Those are some of my favorite tips. Thanks, Alex. Thanks for reminding me.
So going back to something that I mentioned on previous calls, and that is 95% of our thoughts are the same thoughts yesterday and the same thoughts tomorrow. And when you have that kind of a track record, you're going to get the same results. You know, there's just no room for new results when you don't change your thinking. And so it's so important. And we brought this up last week, but it was kind of profound. Gratitude is a great place to be. Gratitude for what you have, you know, but the more powerful gratitude is gratitude for what you don't yet have, but it's there in your imagination and your vision. And when you can be in gratitude for that, then no obstacle can get in your way. And the universe is going to answer that with opportunities and situations that are going to move your goal forward.
Yeah, I'll say that there's less fear around moving forward to your goal too, because you could see it. You can see how it's going to look. I think we start to trust ourselves a little bit more when we're doing that as well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
With that gratitude, even for the past, something that was really an amazing success in your past is something that it's going to be different in the future, but you have an experience of joy and gratitude for having had that experience. And if you can get to that gratitude for the present moment, even that past gives you a baby step to get back to that you remembered that was joyful and exciting and successful. And it's not going to be the same because it was the past, you know, and to let go of it, to give it up, as Alex always says to me, Mom, can you give that up? That therein lies a tip of wisdom.
Yeah, that's a great point, because it is living in the past and coming into the future from the past that can really trip us up. You know,
Amen.
Create those obstacles, create the whatever is going to stop us. It's great to have that gratitude, but for many of us, along comes with it fear, our belief systems, our conditioning, you know, all of those things.
Complacency.
Yeah, all of those things that determine our thoughts and our actions and our results. Ariana.
I just want us to even consider the word obstacle, you know? Because right there, it has power that we are imbuing it with, because the word already is filled, right? So, and you can use any word and have two ways of being with the word. The way that the culture has and the way you've grown up with the word, and then just the word as a feedback to you. So, you know, it could be obstacle, it could be something that's stopping you, whatever the word is. And I love the idea that there are no obstacles. What if there were absolutely no obstacles?
And they were all opportunities.
Yes.
Or problems. They're challenges and opportunities. They're not a problem. They might be a challenge, but they're a great opportunity for new gratitude.
Yeah, and they were potential solutions, not yet seen. You know, like what if we lived in that way of holding our movement towards our goals and our intentions with things? We would be eating our obstacles for breakfast, right?
Mm-hmm. Imagine eating opportunities for breakfast.
Mm.
And possibilities and
Yum.
and being thankful for all of it.
Yeah, I think it's like what some of you were saying, is that fear is an obstacle. And sometimes it's really like, you know, when you're fearful, that's the time that it's like you're being nudged to, hey, you know, like push through with it, because that's an opportunity for growth. And yeah, And like
I think
what
that's
Lynn,
great.
for instance, was saying, like, oh, now she's fearful that she'll get the same reaction, and that's an obstacle. But really, it's just maybe a fluke. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I think of a real experience I had one time when I was skiing, and for one of the first time I skied in Colorado, and I actually found this stranger on the lift, and we started skiing together, and he took me down this thing, and it looked like deep powder, heavy snow, and I was heading towards the snow, going, "Oh my God, I'm going to hit the snow, I'm going to get stopped, I might flip." I mean, I just had all these thoughts of this big mound of snow that these skis had to go through. Never really skiing powder before. And literally I hit it and the powder went poof. And I just went flying right through it, you know? And so I just had to, I didn't really have too many options at that point, whether I was going to stop or not. And I wanted to follow this guy. So I just did.
That's
And
a great visual.
Yeah.
When we have an obstacle, imagine just going right through it and poof.
it just felt like a cloud of snow that just flew out. You know, that's the way snow is in Colorado. And but I didn't know that. I mean, I heard about it, but I had never experienced it. So I'm going to try to take that on with everything and just imagine that.
I want to share one thing that Caleb, my 9-year-old son, created with me, because he was listening to me one day and we were talking about this. This is him. He wrote this. Problems are not things. They only become problems if that's our conclusion.
Wow.
Problems can't be solved, but they always have a solution. If you don't try to solve them, they don't become problems. And then that was me talking about.
One.
So you have to get what's actually real and what's so, and separate those two and be with what's real. And this is him. All problems are illusions of the mind.
Brilliant young man.
Right.
Wow.
Okay.
Love it.
And Madeline, I'll just coattail on your experience. I was riding a horse and I was getting onto the horse and I dropped the rein and we were on a little a country road and we were going back to the stables, but we were a little bit of a distance and the rein fell off and I didn't put a saddle on him. So I was on him bareback and suddenly the rein fell down and he went like that, like wind. And it was slightly downhill on a rocky road where the side was a gutter. And then there was poison ivy and woods. And I thought to myself, OMG. And I had just gotten a part on a soap opera. Like I was going to be going there the next week, starting a part. And can you imagine if I'd broken my arm or my leg? It would have been over, right? So I held onto the horse's mane and I was almost over her neck. Like his neck. And I couldn't stop him. And he ran all the way up to the gate. And I thought, oh no, he's going to jump the gate. And in that moment, I just went, go with it, go with it. I just had to tell myself, just surrender, because there was no way that anything was going to change. And just as he came to the gate, he went like, ah! Right like that. And I kind of went like this. Almost over the gate, but I held on so tight. And when I got off the horse, my whole body was shaking. It was like this because I had held on with such strength. But as I was going through, there was a memory for me that I had been an Indian girl. And that's how we rode horses anyway. So it was, it was just this.
A blonde Indian girl. I love it.
3 minutes of terror, of sheer terror, and then surrender. And it was wild because everything was fine, but my whole body, like, just like you, Madeline, it's like whoosh.
Yeah, what just happened?
Great story.
So I think in looking at those 4 things from Brian Clemmer, Kathy, I saw myself in patterns when I'm not in the game.
Explain.
And well, I've been going through that with this COVID thing and with this last year with just saying, you know, I'm too old. It's too, you know, all my limiting beliefs have just been right there, and I've been in that 4, and yet I love being in the 1, but then at times I go so strong in the 1 that I lose the joy of life. I make it too difficult. Does that make any sense?
Yes. So what do you suppose can be a way of approaching things, COVID, whatever comes your way? What could you
Is
do?
to turn away from that. Yeah, to turn away from that fear, that limiting belief that I really recognized as an old pattern, and step into the paradigm of something new, always creating, and in that creation have what we've done so well here, and what you all have done such a great job in with the templates and so on, and bringing us to that each time we come on this call, gets me back on track.
Yeah.
Because the goal, you've got to have the focus, and I'm so intent on the result that I get lost back in some of these other thinking patterns that don't work.
So may I make a suggestion?
Absolutely.
So remembering that 95% of our thoughts are the same thoughts that we thought yesterday and the day before and the day before and the day before, right? So
Yes.
the key is to change your thoughts. So,
Yeah.
and the first thing is, what is it that you want? Be very clear about what it is you want. You know, whether it's a goal or a way of being or an outcome, you know, be very clear. And then create the languaging around that includes gratitude. I am so grateful now that I am blank. And visit that every single day.
Yeah, I spent about 2 hours last night doing just that, writing those kind of statements to get out of a downward spiral that happened in the conversation.
Yep.
And I want to
Yeah.
just remind everyone, it's our journey. We're on a journey, all of us. You know, Alex, you really you brought it home. It's like it's over when we're dead. You know, it's the life that's lifing, right? When we're with the lifing. So it's our journey, and we really get to design it. And I think that for me, when I noticed I really go sideways is when I think I'm no longer the owner of my life, and that somehow I don't have any say over how it will look and how I'm going to feel in it. And look, stuff's going to happen in the life, right? The lifing part happens, and I still have the power over how I respond to it. And sometimes I'm going to be really challenged at how I respond. I had one of those today with my husband. And we powered through it, and we made up. And we haven't done that kind of process so quickly. Like, you know, like the gap, right? That beautiful gap where there's the breakdown, the obstacle, and then the recognition of the obstacle, right? Because sometimes you can just be in the obstacle and not even realize it. Well, we immediately recognized it, and I had to go off for a moment. I go, why am I mad at you? Or why do I feel like you're mad at me? Or why am I pushing back? Or why am I defensive? And I just asked myself these questions. I went, I have no answer to that. So really, what else is there in the space but just going back and creating that peace and being grateful, right? And the partnership was just was beautifully we reconnected, right?
And it often only
And I had a beautiful
one of
day
you.
today, all day.
Yeah, it often
Say that
only
again,
takes
Judy.
one of you to recognize.
I had a beautiful, productive day all day today.
Awesome.
That is awesome.
Yes, you're right. It takes at least one of us to stop that momentum down the obstacle path.
Yeah.
Because that was creating some good obstacles.
It can
Yeah,
get
you know,
ugly.
and you know, I want to bring up that you asked yourself a question. And remember that book we read years ago about the magic of asking the right question?
Mhm.
So
Oh,
that's
yeah, I
another
still
way
got
we
that
can
book.
like stop that pattern of thinking is just asking the right one. If we ask why or, you know, those kind of things, it's more like, how can
No,
I?
why doesn't,
Yeah. And
What?
actually, she kind of did ask why, and she had no answer. And then she kind of went, that doesn't even make sense. And how can I make this relationship work now that this has happened? That's kind of what I heard you say you did. And I think we can all do that with anything.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
did we
it's
lose
about,
Alex on that?
it's about thinking out of the box. You know, the in the box thinking is the past, the old way of thinking, the way that did not create the results that we wanted. So it's out of the box. And that's just, you know, you can just go into a meditation, create a box, and think, okay, what would be out of the box? You know? And those ideas will come.
Yeah.
Well, we're way over our time, but this was really good. I'm so
Yeah,
glad
it was.
I had a chance to do this. So, does anybody have any last words they want to share?
Yes. So, what does it look like to be with your obstacles and move past them towards your goals, right? What does that look like? And one way it looks like is being in action towards your committed intentions. So, with that being said, we have 3 power hours. 3 power hours this week, and tomorrow's power hour will be at 9:30 Pacific Daylight Time in the morning. And then Wednesday is Lynn. What time was on Wednesday?
1 o'clock.
Pacific Daylight Time. And then Thursday. When was Thursday, Madeline?
I believe if we're talking Pacific, I think it's 2:00. Let me just double check.
No, it was 3.
No, 4:00 Pacific time,
Okay.
5:00 Mountain time.
And listen, guys, I said this to Marcia the other day. You don't have to stay for an hour if that's too long. Come for 5 minutes. Get infused. Get your little like B shot, you know, your B12 shot. Remember we used to have the B12 team? Anyway, so yeah, come to at least one of them, because really what it is again is it infuses you with the gratitude. It brings you to a place of commonality. Even, you know, Alex was saying about team. You know, we need team around us. Doing things solo, it's just harder. And it's not as much fun. I mean, COVID was a big example of that this past year. So come to one of the 3. And if none of those times work for you, even for the 5-minute hello and check-in, then tell on the feed, the We Believe in Freedom feed on Facebook, suggest another time. And at least if one other person can be with you, that's joyful. I had that last week in Marcia. I had an enrollment last week from our connection that week that you and I did together. You know, so that's where the magic is, guys.
Awesome. All right. Well, everybody have a blessed week.
The magical team.
It is. Thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you for your contribution. Love you all.
Thank you,
Good
everybody.
night.
You.
Good
Good night, everyone. Thank you.